again for the answer to the trivia question. And if you'd like to make your pledge, 785-621-4110. We're visiting with JoAnn Seaman, the new director in the recent renovation of the Mother Cabrini Shrine. And JoAnn, before we get started, I'm going to say a quick prayer um, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. O God, the Holy Spirit, comforter of the afflicted, fountain of light and truth, through the ardent zeal of your humble handmaid St. Francis Xavier Cabrini, grant us your all-powerful aid in our necessities, sanctify our souls, and fill our minds with divine light, that we may see the holy will of God in all things. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, JoAnn, first of all, tell us about yourself. I know you're from the area, and I know there's a lot of folks in Victoria that are anxiously awaiting this call. In fact, Donetta told me that you'd called in and said, well, I got a little of a sore throat. I'm not sure if I can be on the radio. And she says, oh, there's going to be some really angry people from Victoria if JoAnn's not on the call. So JoAnn, tell us about yourself and how you became the director of the Mother Cabrini Shrine.
So I'm originally from Victoria. My maiden name is Younger. I grew up in Victoria. I went to high school at Thomas More Prep Marion, and then I also graduated from Fort Hays State. And what a great place to grow up. I have such great memories and still a lot of friends, and my mom is still in Victoria, as well as my brother is in the area as well. So I try to get back as much as I can, and it's always great to come back and visit. I first started working at Mother Cabrini Shrine in 1989, so I've spent my career here at the shrine, and I feel very fortunate to have been able to do so. I was hired as the development director, and we established a fundraising program for the shrine, and until about 4 months ago, that was my job, and it was just a wonderful job for 34 years, and the shrine has grown, and it's been just wonderful to see that. And then 4 months ago, I took over as the executive director, and it's also just been just a great job, and I really enjoy working with the people here at the shrine, and we have so many volunteers and donors and visitors who come every year, and it's a beautiful place to be.
Okay, you grew up in Victoria. You obviously went to school at Thomas More Prep Marion High in Fort Hays. What took you from Hays, Kansas to Golden, Colorado? Did this job take you there, or did something else take you to Golden?
No, it was the job.
Okay.
The job took me. I was taught by the Sisters of St. Agnes and also the Capuchin Franciscans. And the Capuchins say Mass here at the shrine throughout the week. And Father John Lager taught me in high school, and he introduced me to the sisters and to the shrine. And I interviewed for the job, and I guess the rest is history. So I did move to Colorado to take this job.
Interesting. And so do you have family? You have children that you raise children in the Colorado area?
I do. I have two daughters, and one of them lives here, and the other one is in the Phoenix area. And I have two granddaughters and another one actually on the way in about a week.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Okay. Well, give us some background on who Mother Cabrini was, where she came from, and how did she and you end up how did her shrine end up in Golden, Colorado?
Okay. So Mother Cabrini was born in Italy, and she really dedicated her life to helping the poor and the sick, mostly immigrants. She's the patroness of immigrants and also those less fortunate. She was the youngest of 13 children, and she was born in a small village in northern Italy near Milan. She grew up, she was taught by sisters, and she grew up really kind of enthralled by stories about missionaries, and made up her mind at an early age to join a religious order. But her health was very frail, and she was rejected by several orders of sisters who just didn't think that, she had what it took to become a sister. And so she just didn't let that deter her, and she started her own order. I believe it was in 1880. She founded the Order of the Missionary Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, I think with 7 or 8 young women. And Mother Cabrini is just, she's as resourceful as she is prayerful. She just has an incredible, or had an incredible amount of faith. And that's what, fueled her. And she opened 67 schools and orphanages throughout the world
Wow.
in her 67 years of life. She died when she was 67. So was amazing. She's such a role model, and her story is just really rich with grit and determination, and we're really honored to have this shrine in her name. She was asked to come to Denver by the bishop in the early 1900s, and to help the Italian immigrants who were working in the mines. Often they would go into the mines and would not come out. They were killed, in their line of work. And so she really took care of those children. She started a school and then eventually an orphanage in North Denver. And when she would come to visit, she felt like she needed a place for the children to get out of the city, and kind of like a summer camp. And so she found this property that the shrine is now on, and turned it into a summer camp for the little orphan girls. And she would bring them here in the summertime. There used to be a swimming pool, and they just had a lot of space where the girls could run and just be in nature. But the story is that when Mother Cabrini found this property, she bought it very cheaply because they told her there was no water on the property. And Mother Cabrini, being who she was, I guess just didn't believe it. And she told the sisters that were with her to turn over a rock. And she said, flip over that rock and you will see water fresh enough for drinking, or clean enough for drinking, and fresh enough, to consume. And so that spring of water is still flowing to this day. So,
and I read something. It fills your aquifer is or your holding tank is like 8,000 gallons. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a tank.
Yeah.
That holds the water, and we use it for all purposes here at the shrine.
And so that's been. When did she purchase this land? You mentioned she came into Denver in 1900. So when did she purchase the land for the camp north of Denver?
She came to Denver in 1902, and then she purchased this property in 1909.
Wow. So that water's been going since 1909. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
That is awful. That is, well, God works in mysterious ways, and obviously that's it. But I just, we think of, and all of us in Western Kansas I think most of us have been in the Denver area. It's a zoo, but I'm thinking back in 1900, and of course, the mountains are always majestic. They always have been. They always will be. We love to look at them, and we love to go see them. I can't even imagine how beautiful this piece of land was back in 1900. Of course, it still is. I pulled it up last night on the internet and looked at the pictures of it and things like that. It's just a gorgeous valley. So I can't imagine what it was like back then. But to have the faith to purchase a piece of land, no matter how inexpensive it is, without water, that piece of land is worthless.
Exactly.
And so her faith had to be so strong to say, well, this is the right thing to do. We'll figure it out as we go.
It was. I mean, everything you read, we're so fortunate. She did. We have a lot of her writings from, during her lifetime, and we just celebrated kind of a big occasion here. We did some renovations, and we just opened our chapel, and so we shared some of her initial writings when she first came to Colorado, just some of her thoughts about what she thought and about the beauty of this area. And I'll just read you a couple lines. She said, "I saw the highest mountains in the United States, among them Pikes Peak.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Colorado, and I hope we strike a gold mine here." She said, "It's not cold here. I feel fine." And then she said, I visited the Rocky Mountains, some of them more than 14,000 feet high, and their peaks are covered with perpetual snow. She said, I'm happy to have a mission in the Rocky Mountains where I always desired to go. I like Colorado. And I don't know, we just get a lot of joy out of reading her notes about her time here, to think that, some 134 years ago, that she was on this ground. She walked these grounds, and
Yes.
she probably had to, she probably came by horse and buggy, and there was not a paved
Sure.
road like there is now.
Sure.
I mean, I can't imagine trying to get up here, during that time, but
Mhm.
she did. She was tenacious, and what foresight she had to purchase this beautiful property.
Oh, I'm sure there are many developers that would love to have a piece of that property, without a doubt. So
Yeah, I'm
hold that,
sure.
JoAnn, hold that thought for 1 second. I do want to thank Courtney Brady, donated $50. So thank you to Courtney. And again, with our matching funds, that is $100. And Larry and Joanne Dries from Ellenwood donated $100. They said they enjoy listening to the program. So Larry and Joanne Dries, thank you for that. Thank you for the donation and the compliment. Again, that doubles to $200. So thank you for that. We still do not have a winner on our trivia question. And the question again was, what did St. Francis Xavier Cabrini have a fear of? Was it A, snakes, B, heights, or C, water? Again, what did St. Francis Xavier Cabrini have a fear of? Was it A, snakes, B, heights, or C, water? Again, you can call in at 785-621-4110 to answer that trivia question and to also make your donation. So again, we're visiting with JoAnn Seaman. She is the new director in recent renovation of the Mother Cabrini Shrine. So you mentioned a little bit about the shrine, that you just renovated, but when was this shrine actually built? Why did they build it out there, and how was it built?
So, when Mother Cabrini was canonized in 1946, then the property became a shrine in her honor. After her canonization, the Knights of Columbus were very instrumental in, making that happen. And it just kind of happened over time. The missionary sisters, Mother Cabrini's order, was living in Denver still at the orphanage. And once they closed the orphanage, then the sisters moved up here to the shrine, and they built this building that houses the chapel and all of our offices. But it was originally built to be a convent.
Okay.
And so over the years, the shrine has just kind of grown. They started with the grotto chapel that we have, and then also they put in all the steps. If you've been here, we have 373 steps that lead to this 22-foot statue of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And along the way are the Stations of the Cross and the Ten Commandments, and just it's a beautiful walk. And when you get to the top, you can overlook the city of Denver, or the mountains to the west, and the views are breathtaking. It's definitely worth the 373 steps to see that. So that was put in, and then the grotto was constructed, and then over time, once this building was built and people started coming to Mass, there was a smaller chapel. The public just started coming, and Mother Cabrini's last trip to Colorado was in 1912, and she gave a directive for the stone house to be built, and that's the first house you see when you come up onto our property. And it's our retreat house. So we do offer retreat facilities for groups, or individuals who want to come and just spend some time away, from their busy lives. And so that house has been there, since before it became a shrine. And over the years, it's just grown, and we got to a point where we didn't have enough seats in the chapel for Sunday masses, and we decided that after a lot of consultation and prayer, and we decided it was time to expand. And so about 3 years ago, we started construction. We enlarged our gift shop. We doubled it in size, and then we also created new conference spaces so that like a parish staff can come up for the day if they'd like, and we provide lunch. And and then also we renovated and expanded our chapel. We went from 150 seats to 400,
Oh, wow.
and it's more beautiful than we could have imagined. We're just so grateful. It turned out we did a capital campaign, and it turned out to be about a $6 million campaign, just to show you the power of Mother Cabrini's intercession. We had several campaign consultants who told us that we would never be able to raise that money. But we did, thanks to the intercession of Mother Cabrini and some really wonderful and faithful donors. So we just dedicated the chapel 2 weekends ago, and we're just so thankful and just really thrilled to have the beautiful space.
It sounds gorgeous. In fact, my wife and I were talking about this morning, and she said, "Oh, I have a bottle of holy water from the Mother Cabrini Shrine that a friend had brought to her." And I said, "And I've seen it. It's in one of our cabinets in the bathroom, and I just never knew the history of it. And so I thought this is interesting." But before we go on, we do have a winner for our trivia question. Mark Schwartz called in with the correct answer, and those of you that didn't know, and it's interesting because as JoAnn and I were talking about the water source, and that Mother Cabrini knew of that or felt the faith of that, she had a fear of water. So the fear that she had was she'd suffered aquaphobia, having nearly drowned as a child. Despite this fear, she made more than 20 transatlantic trips to do missionary work around the world. So talk about overcoming your fears. That's
Exactly.
interesting. That is interesting. So, well, again, we're visiting with JoAnn Seaman. She is the new director at the Mother Cabrini Shrine. She was just visiting about the renovation of the shrine and things like that. JoAnn, how many pilgrims come to visit the shrine yearly?
You know, it's hard for us to know. We've tried to get a count, but cars come in. Sometimes they'll go down to the grotto. Sometimes they'll come to the main building, into the gift shop, to the chapel. It just kind of depends. But we estimate well over 100,000 a year.
Wow. So there's not specifically a gate that they have to come through. There's not a checkpoint. This is a free area that people can come and go as they choose to. They can come into the shrine. They can come into the gift shop, but there's no requirement. I mean, it seems like so many of the places you go to, it's like a funnel, and you're not getting out of here unless you go through the gift shop first. It's just...
No. You can just drive onto the property. I mean, we do have hours. There's a gate at the bottom of the hill that closes, every day at 5:00. So after that, we're closed, but we're open in the morning at 7, and people can just come all day.
You mentioned that there are stations across. What are some of the other things that they can see? Obviously, the shrine, and what else can they visit in that area that would create, an exciting trip? I mean, it's something that we think about, and we have grandchildren from ages 10 down to 2, and it's like, okay, how do you get them excited? Say, okay, we're going to take a 4-hour drive and go see a shrine. It's like, oh, gee, thanks, Grandpa.
Well, I think people often tell us that all you have to do is drive on to the property, and there's just something special about this place. And I think you feel it when you come. So when you first come, your first option is to come into the main building and obviously visit the new chapel and see the gift shop. Kids love the gift shop. There are a lot of mementos and fun things in there for them to do. But then also throughout the shrine, we have different meditation gardens and prayer gardens, and there are probably 4 or 5 different ones. One is devoted to the Sacred Heart. One is devoted to Mother Cabrini. We have the Path of the Holy Spirit, where they're just little meditations on each of the different gifts of the Spirit. And then probably the most popular area is, I would say, the steps. Just people love to walk up, and as I said, you can pray the Stations of the Cross or the Rosary, and there are benches all along the way that you can stop and rest, or but really getting to the top of the mountain it's worth it. It's just the views and to see the statue is really beautiful. And just think about Mother Cabrini and her sisters being here and what that was like, back in the day. And then there's the grotto area with the chapels, and And then the spring of water, where people can take water with them, or they can drink it there. And then there's also a rosary garden in that area where people can pray the rosary.
That is cool. And of course, those of us listening and that have been to the Colorado area, obviously the mountains are always majestic. It's just a beautiful area, especially, you're from Victoria. You can see forever.
Yes.
And people always talk to me how boring it is to drive through Kansas because you can't see anything. I said, yeah, you can see anything you want. You can
Right.
see forever. But yeah, there's something about going to the mountains. And so, just with that, and then to add this other, it's got to be breathtaking. Now, if someone was to plan a trip out there, how much time should they dedicate to being at the shrine and on the grounds around the shrine?
We just encourage people to come, and I mean, if they have 3 or 4 hours, then they can fill that just by however long they want to spend in the chapel, or maybe spend some time in prayer, or you can come for an hour and just get as much in as you can. It really varies on on how much time people have, and sometimes they'll come and just do a quick overview, and then they'll think, oh, I really want to delve into that a little bit. I want to see more, and then they'll come back and spend a couple more hours. So it's really up to, I guess, each individual visitor.
You mentioned about retreats. Are people allowed to spend the night at the shrine? Do you have a way that people can come out and spend, if they want to spend several days there? Talk about your retreats.
There are. We do have overnight retreats. We have what we call the Stone House. It sleeps 28, and there are 3 floors, and again, just beautiful views of the city, and it's a wonderful house, and very quiet, and we're actually booked pretty much every weekend, a year in advance.
Wow.
And sometimes during the week, groups will come and stay. We have one group that comes for 3 weeks at a time. They're learning how to be spiritual directors, and so that's where they do their workshops and their learning. And then we also have, as I mentioned, we have several conference rooms where groups can come just for a day, or we do have 6 private rooms in our main building where if an individual wants to come and just stay overnight and do kind of a self-guided retreat. We have facilities available for that as well. And then we provide meals and just try to make people stay as, make them feel as welcome as possible.
That was my next question, is what is provided there, but you answered that. Okay, give me an idea then. If I want to, my wife and I want to come up and spend just a day there. We come up and spend the day, we spend the night. What would be my costs? Because we always look at, what's a motel room cost? What's a restaurant cost? What would a person spend just if a couple want to come up and spend a quiet day and an evening there and leave the next morning?
Just for an overnight retreat?
Yes.
So it's $100 per night per guest,
Okay.
and that includes your 3 meals.
Oh, wow. Well, it's very affordable. So when you mentioned that the retreat house holds up to 28 people. So, and you talk about a retreat. Is this something a person could do like for a family reunion? Do you have people coming in for family reunions, things like that? Or is it just only for, something from a religious retreat standpoint?
It's usually more geared toward, some type of religious retreat. There are families who come, though, and will do, I don't know, I guess they'll call it a reunion, but they'll, just sort of make a kind of a little spiritual getaway as well. And so we're pretty flexible, with whoever wants to come.
But you're booked a year out, so we got to make our plans, right?
Yeah, you do.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So tell us what you like best about being the director, and you've been the director for how long?
So I've been the executive director just for 4 months, since August 1st.
Okay.
But I love everything about the shrine. I love working with missionary sisters. I have a great staff. There's so many, and we have so many dedicated, volunteers and donors, and just all the different people who really make up the shrine and who love it. And It wouldn't be what it is without all of them. And also driving up to this beautiful space every day, you just can't beat it. I mean, like you said, the mountains are so majestic, and even after all these years, it's still breathtaking. And now that the renovations are complete, that we have so much potential for growth, and these are just really exciting times. And I honestly, I think our best days are ahead of us, and I'm just so thankful and thrilled that I get to be a part of it.
How is I mean, we're in the middle of a Care-a-Thon right here to keep Divine Mercy on the radio and continue to evangelize to people in our areas. How is the shrine and everything that goes on out there? How is that funded? Is there something that, I mean, obviously you talked about your donors that helped you with the renovation, but how is the day-to-day, year-to-year funding done? I mean, obviously you got employees to pay for and you got the lights to keep on. How does the shrine stay afloat?
So the shrine is actually self-supporting.
Oh, wow.
You know, a lot of people think that because we're in the Archdiocese of Denver that they support us financially, and they do not. We have a great working relationship with them, and you know they use our facilities, but we are self-supporting. The missionary sisters own and operate Mother Cabrini Shrine. So that was one of the reasons we started a development program so that we could keep the lights on and pay our employees. We have a direct mail appeal program. We mail 6 times a year. We do an annual gala fundraiser, silent auction, dinner. We just had that a couple weekends ago. And sales through our gift shop, retreat fees, and then just donations, at Mass and on the grounds. And I know how hard it is to raise money, and so I commend you for doing this Care-a-Thon. It's not easy, but I think God provides, and thankfully we have donors and people who believe in our ministries and our missions, and they support us and keep us going.
The generosity is just amazing. Not in Western Kansas. Obviously, you experienced it in Colorado, but and I'm a big I talk stewardship much, and I love the facts of what stewardship gives everybody. The steward itself, the blessings we receive from God, but the people that receive the benefits of everyone being good stewards. And I tell people all the time, I said everybody's a good steward. Just
right.
People are giving all the time. But hold that thought a minute, JoAnn. I'm going to be right back. But I do want to give our listeners another trivia question. This is again during our 2:00 hour. For JoAnn, it's 1:00 hour. But anyway, America wasn't St. Cabrini's first choice to do missionary work. What was her preferred destination initially? Was it A, Germany, B, Russia, or C, China? Again, the question: America wasn't St. Cabrini's first choice to do missionary work. What was her preferred destination initially? Was it A, Germany, B, Russia, or C, China? And that number is 785-621-4110 to answer our trivia question and to also make your donation or pledge if you choose to. We do have $689 left in our matching funds, so any donation that anybody gives up until that point is going to be matched and obviously doubled. So if you have a $100 donation, it becomes $200, $300 becomes $600, so up to $689 more dollars of matching funds. Currently, we have a goal of $125,000. We're at $70,935. So you folks are doing a marvelous job of helping us keep Divine Mercy Radio on the air and evangelizing the Catholic faith throughout our areas. So again, we're speaking with JoAnn Seaman, and she is the new director of the Mother Cabrini Shrine in Golden, Colorado. And I noticed on your website you have Mass times daily. You have daily Mass, you have Sunday Mass, Christmas Eve Mass, Christmas Day Mass, New Year Day Mass. Do you have a resident priest?
We do not. We have usually a different priest who comes up every day. The Capuchins have been so faithful over the years, coming to say Mass, as well as we have the Oblates of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and then several diocesan priests who come up, and we're so fortunate to have them and to be able to have Mass daily. And then we have 3 Masses on Sunday, 2 in the morning, and then we have an afternoon Mass that is in Spanish.
And how far are you from Denver? I mean, we're not that far, but still, the thing that we don't understand in Western Kansas, if I drive to Victoria, it's 10 minutes. It's 10
Right.
miles, 10 minutes. Ironically, in the Colorado area, and I've worked out there before, someone said, we're just, a few miles out of town. Well, 35 minutes later, you've gone a few miles.
Right.
So that's a commitment to have someone every day, a different one.
It is. It is, and like I said, we're so fortunate to have them, and I think they enjoy coming up, just getting out of the city for a little while and being here, and many of them have just such a great devotion to Mother Cabrini as well, and yeah, it's just been a great gift.
Without a doubt. Well, I'm going to cut in for a second here. We do have a trivia winner. The question was, America wasn't St. Cabrini's first choice to do missionary work. What was her preferred destination initially? And that was, the answer was C, China. It was her first choice, but decided to go west rather than east at the urging of Pope Leo XIII. And Nick Eilert got that question correct. So, Nick, thank you for calling in, and you will be entered in our drawing at the end of the day for a $50 gift card to the Messenger Catholic Bookstore. Jerome and Angela Schmeidler own that, and they've been so generous to help us with those donations. Again, we're speaking with JoAnn Seaman. She is the director at the Mother Cabrini Shrine in Golden, Colorado. Now, you grew up in Victoria. You have a landmark. It was not in your youth, but it's now a basilica.
Right.
So you have something, in essence, a shrine in Victoria, Kansas that was built by, I don't know, I'm sure your grandparents or great-grandparents were involved in it some way,
Right.
Talk about, how that was, and a lot of people may not know how that was built and how the limestone was actually quarried out of the pastures of the parishioners, and talk about that and how you can relate the building of and what you had or grew up with in Victoria with the Cathedral of the Plains is what we call it, St. Fidelis, and how you relate that to the shrine out in Golden, Colorado.
Obviously, growing up in Victoria, I think you don't, as a young child, I don't think you appreciate the beautiful, now basilica, that we had at the time. But being away and coming back and being able to go to Mass there is you realize how just incredible, the church is. And I'm really thankful that, my parents instilled, that faith in me. And I know that that's the reason that I've been in this job for 34 years and probably, what drew me to the shrine. But those landmarks are just really, really special. I mean, in Victoria, you can see it, from the highway.
Yes,
and the same here, same as, when you're driving west to the mountains, you see that statue of Jesus. And lots of times people don't even know exactly, what it is, but it draws them here. And it's a beacon, overlooking the city, and the same with St. Fidelis. I just think it's wonderful that we have these signs to, just kind of guide us.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's something, and you're right. I remember I played college baseball at Colby originally, then I finished it up at Fort Hays. But I remember being on a bus as we were coming back from a baseball trip with my Colby baseball players, and one of the guys said, "What is that over there?" And I said, "Oh, that's the Cathedral of the Plains." He goes, "That's a church?" And I said, "That's a church." And I said, ironically, it was built by the parishioners. That was a hand-built,
Yeah.
Back in I think it was in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they quarried that limestone. And of course, unless you've seen it, it's just something that you can't understand. But every time I go by it, I just look at it and say, how did they get that rock all the way up there? How did people not get killed doing this? I mean, it's not like we had cranes and forklifts and things back then.
I know. It's incredible to think about and to read the history of, how it all came to be. Yeah, just wonderful.
Without a doubt. So you've been there for 34 years. obviously there was what drew you out there. I mean, you mentioned that with the Capuchins, but it's unusual for people to stay at a job for that long. Obviously, you enjoy it, you love it, you brought that. But what in the world? I mean, what did you major in college that would put you into this position?
So my undergrad degree at Fort Hays was communications, kind of more the public relations and journalism side of communications. And I did work for about, I think it was 10 months. I worked in the alumni and development office at Thomas More Prep
Mm-hmm.
After I graduated from college. And I don't know, I always loved Colorado, and I had some friends here. And so I guess I just kind of wanted to spread my wings and you know, move to Colorado. And once I started the job here, I don't know that anybody really sets out in their career wanting to be a fundraiser.
No.
I certainly did not.
No.
But it just kind of fell into it. And once I started working here at the Shrine, then I did go back to school, and I got a master's degree in nonprofit management. So that really helped me kind of to hone my skills. And I've had some wonderful mentors too over the years that I've learned so much from, and who have really helped, kind of make this development program at the Shrine, what it is and successful, and just have really helped us, survive over over the years.
I didn't realize they had a degree for nonprofit management, but I guess
They do.
I mean, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, and there's a lot of them. And again, God bless you. You just mentioned, obviously, we're in the business of fundraising right now. Um, my children went to Holy Family, or originally it was St. Joseph's Catholic Grade School, then Holy Family, and Thomas More Prep, and of course I was in the insurance business of selling insurance for 34, 35 years, and I always said, I get tired of asking for money, but you have to, and it just intrigues me how generous people are, and it and the ones, it just blows you away. You never have a day where you're not in awe of people's
Exactly.
generosity. That's the thing that I just continue. And of course, that people always talk about the 80-20 rule. There's always, 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people, and
Right.
80% of the donations by 20% of the people. But that, I don't know if it's necessarily true. I think most everybody's giving all the time. It just, not everybody can give as much as others, but it just gives you a whole new insight to watch God work in your business life, in your personal life. And that's what I do when I talk about stewardship so much. I said, until you've experienced it, you can't explain it. But I've also realized, we talk about the mysteries of the faith, and to me, stewardship is a mystery. It doesn't make
Sure.
sense.
Right.
It doesn't make sense because, going back to even when Jesus watched, I think it was just recently that either I read it in my Magnificat on a weekly mass, or, but the widow that gave her last 2 pence or whatever they were, but they were worth a couple pennies, and Jesus said that lady gave more than anybody because that's all she had, but she had so much faith to do that. I don't have that much faith. I'm not giving all, and I hate to say it, but as a fundraiser, you get to see people that you're thinking there is no way this person can be this generous, but they are.
Right.
So it's fun to watch that faith. Talk about that.
Well, it's very humbling, first of all, to watch the generosity of of people. But Mother Cabrini has a saying, something she told her sisters many times throughout her life in her writing, and she said she had just a passionate devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and she said the Sacred Heart of Jesus will never allow himself to be outdone. And we've felt that over the last couple of years as we've been doing all of our renovations here too, and you have to have faith when you're in this business. And I've had people remind me of that over the years. You have to kind of remember the business you're in, and that's the business of having faith when you're doing fundraising. And one of a quote we just shared with everyone when we opened our chapel a couple weekends ago, another famous line from Mother Cabrini, she said, and thus we see the bounty and the power of the heart of Jesus. And I think that kind of just explains kind of fundraising in a nutshell. it's really not about us or even the project, or it's about God's plan, and we're just, I guess, fortunate to be a part of it, and and to see it unfold.
And we get to. That's
Yeah.
the unique thing about it. We get to watch it unfold. We really do.
Right.
JoAnn will be right back. I do want to thank, we had an anonymous donor from Catherine, Kansas. That's in the metropolis, just north of Victoria. They donated $100. So thank you so much for that. Again, that is doubled to $200. That's whittling down at that. We do have a total that drops our total down to about $589 in matching funds yet, puts us over $71,000 total. So thank you so much for that. And I do want to mention that Jackie Skolot was a winner of one of our trivia questions earlier, and we didn't get that announced. So Jackie, your name will be in the drawing. So congratulations for that. And I want to go through a few things that we want to touch on. Again, most of you are listening, obviously. You might be on your car radio, you might be in your office, but if that situation changes, you can obviously get on your car radio or your desk radio at 101.7 in Lindsborg and Salina, 105.7 in Hayes, 88.1 in Great Bend, and 88.1 in Hayes. You can listen on the website, which is dvmercy.com, and click on to listen live on that. And you can download on your smart app. You can also use Amazon Echo and just ask Alexa to enable Divine Mercy Radio. And you can watch us live on Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. So we're visiting with JoAnn Seaman, and she is the new director at the Mother Cabrini Shrine out in Golden, Colorado. And we were just visiting about fundraising. And so you mentioned that you have a kind of like a journal, a booklet or whatever. Give us some more of Mother Cabrini's thoughts, because obviously, again, you're talking about someone, like you said, she came to Colorado when there weren't any highways. And we always think of Colorado. Again, you guys have some beautiful pictures on your website, but that's not always Colorado. Sometimes there's 18 inches of snow, and the wind blows through that valley, I'm sure, like crazy. And it's not like she had insulated boots and gloves, and
Correct.
she had a wonderful home that she could just go into, and there was a furnace running. I mean, we're talking about someone had to go chop the wood, keep the fire burning. So, if she shared any of her thoughts during that time, or even, mentioned that she took several oceanic journeys, even being afraid of water. Did she have any thoughts on any of that?
Really, all of the things that she wrote about Colorado, some of her writings are actually pretty comical. She did say, she was telling the sisters that she mailed them some letters from Colorado, but that she didn't really have any faith in the postal system. So
we still don't.
Apologies to any postal people listening out there, but
sure.
She had some just really funny comments from time to time. She would chide her sisters, and she had a really good sense of humor, which is really good to see. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there are days in the winter that, we can have a foot or a foot and a half of snow, and we will close down for the day. But Colorado being what it is, I mean, the next day the sun's out and we're back in business, and we have our own snow removal equipment. We have a caretaker who lives on the property. So our road is usually in better shape than, the city.
Mm-hmm.
So usually we don't have to close for more than a day or so when we have snow.
That's just amazing. I mean, I can't imagine, but my brother says the same thing. He lives in Billings, Montana, and he said, we're prepared. We know we're going to get 12 inches of snow overnight. And he said they work all night, and you get up in the morning and you just back your car to the driveway and you go. And,
right.
I heard in Western Kansas, and we're prepared for it, but we're still not prepared for it. And it intrigues me to watch. I worked in Wichita from time to time, and they're not prepared for it. So they don't have a clue what's going on there. Did Mother Cabrini, did she have any notes about her, with her fear of water? Did she write anything about when she was on ships that concerned her? I mean, I would, personally, I don't know that I'd get on, but I guess didn't that back then. It's not like, well, it's either take a boat or take a jet. It's like, we're taking a boat and it's going to take a long time.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. There's a movie about Mother Cabrini coming out in March, and we had the opportunity to do a screening, and it's phenomenal. I mean, it really shows the person that she was, and it shows the incredible amount of faith that she had. Um, it mostly the movie really hones in on how sick she really was, and to accomplish all that she did, and to not have her health is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just hard to even fathom how she did everything that she did. She didn't love being on the water. She mentions that, and plus when they came over from Italy, they were not in first class by any means.
Sure.
They were in steerage,
Sure.
and its conditions were awful.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some scenes in the movie that are really powerful. So it will be in theaters, I believe, in early March. And so I hope people can go and see it, because you will just get a picture of her that I don't think anybody ever really has until now. And it's not really your typical saint documentary. It really is. It's kind of a boots on the ground, just get in there, get your hands dirty, and help people. And that was her mission. And she her faith was kind of shown through her actions and how she cared for people. And I think the movie really depicts that well. So I'd really encourage people to go see it if you have a chance.
What is it called?
It's just called Cabrini.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And it's being produced by Angel Studios.
Yes.
They just did The Sound of Freedom,
Yes.
and then I believe The Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So really well done.
I'll bet it is. That'll be powerful. I can't wait. And it's I'm a movie lover, but I am frustrated with we can't get good movies. So I'll look forward to that. Well, you're talking about Mother Cabrini. You talked about her health. What type? Back then, plus for her to live to 67, that was old. Back in the early 1900s, that was old. So what kind of health problems did she have?
She was just very frail when she was she was born premature, and most of her siblings passed away. She was one of 13, but I can't remember the exact number. It was like 4 or 5, I think, survived. And she would help the sick, and then she would become sick.
Get what they had,
Yellow fever, and just whatever plagues were going around during that time. She would get, and somehow she just managed to, overcome that.
Yeah, and it's not, again, we have to take our mind back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. You didn't run down to the local doctor and get a prescription, run to Walmart and get some, penicillin.
Exactly.
I don't know if they even use penicillin, moxicillin, or whatever they use anymore.
Probably, yeah.
But it had to be. She obviously had to fight through this. Let her natural system fight through it. I'm sure, of course, being out in Colorado, I think there were Indians out there. There was a lot of things that went on that they used a lot of herbs and things like that to heal.
Right.
But that is interesting. I can't imagine, and that's something that I have to do. I was talking with Father Rich Dace earlier. We interviewing him, and we were talking. His father was born in 1903, and we talk about that's a generation that, like you said, his dad grew up farming with a horse and a plow, and these people got to watch, technology evolve to where they had cars and trains and trucks and jets and all this stuff, and again, I think back to how she would. I even think as I walk my dogs from time to time out in the country, and I look and think, what was it like walking across Kansas, and how they had their horse and buggies. But I always think when I always come over, you get to about Lyman, Colorado, if it's a pretty day, it's a clear day, all of a sudden you can just kind of vaguely see Pikes Peak. And I thought, what if you're walking across the prairie and you got your buggy and your family and it's all packed up, and also you look up and going, what is that?
Yeah.
And the next day you kind of see, it looks like a big storm over there, and all of a sudden you realize there's this huge mountain in front of you, and how are you going to get over that thing? Because there's a bridge through it. A tunnel through it now, but obviously there wasn't one back then. So, you think of Mother Cabrini coming to Colorado, falling in love with it, which is easy to do, but then the difficulties that she would have to deal with, I can't imagine.
I agree. It wasn't just here. It was everywhere she went. She
Absolutely.
had so many obstacles in her lifetime, but again, it just it's just a credit to who she was, and like I said, her grit and her determination, and obviously, most importantly, her faith. I mean, she just had just an incredible amount of faith that allowed her to accomplish so much.
That was my thought. I thought we have such, and I hate to say this, my faith is not that strong. I mean, I think it is,
Right, I know.
but we've never been challenged.
Right.
Obviously look at the challenges, and even for her to say, "Wait, I want to go to China," and the Pope said, "Nope, you're
Yeah.
going to the United States." Why would I want to go to the United States?
I know.
And she obviously they knew nothing about a whole new language. Not that she wouldn't have a new language in China, but it's just intriguing. And of course, we don't know the whole story. I mean, she probably was doing some kicking and screaming, maybe. I don't know, but
Oh,
we all would. But
absolutely. And she was told no so many times, and she just never let that deter her. There's a scene in the movie where she works her way in to see Pope Leo the 13th, and the cardinals and bishops and everybody was just trying to keep her out, and it turned out she and the Pope became very good friends, even though she was kind of a thorn in his side.
mhm.
And same with the cardinal in New York when she went to New York, and but same thing. Eventually, they became friends and they worked together and accomplished good things. So she was just tenacious, and it was a great gift that she had.
We've lost that tenacity.
We
We
have. You're
really
right.
have. There's very few people that I just read Elon Musk's book, and love him or hate him, the guy is tenacious. I mean, he is just crazy about stuff, and you're like, what? Just give it up, And I look at and not that he's ever going to be a saint, I don't think, but I just we've just lost that tenacity. We're such I don't know if we're a kind, gentle nation. That's fine, but sometimes it's like, come on, someone, say no, just buck that system. A couple more things. We have a few more minutes. I wanted to talk with you about. You mentioned that she had developed this land out there originally for a summer camp for orphan girls. Is that still available, or is that not part of the shrine anymore?
No, it's not. Once the property became the shrine, that the summer camp was really no longer. So, in the late '60s, the government closed most of the orphanages, and they went to, you know, um, adoption and foster families and that kind of thing. So there really wasn't a need for the orphanage anymore. So, and that all happened about the same time, that the shrine kind of came into be.
So okay, so Mother Cabrini passed away when? She was in the
She
19.
died in December 22nd, 1917.
Okay, so but we're talking these summer camps were going on in the. You just mentioned that the orphanages were closing in the 60s. So who took care of all this from 1917 to when they weren't doing it anymore? So we're talking 40, 50 years.
Right. The missionary sisters did.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because like I said, the stone house was built in, 1913, and so that house was here, and so the sisters would still come up in the summertime, and then, yeah, things really didn't start to happen until Mother Cabrini was beatified in 1938,
Hmm.
and then canonized in 1946. So that's kind of when things started happening on this property to turn it into a shrine.
That was one of the questions I asked when Father Rich was with me. He was talking about um, Father, another, I'm sorry, I just went blank. It's Capadona, another Italian, obviously, and they're in the process of canonizing him. I mean, and I asked him, how long does this take? Because I read about the saints from time to time, and they say, this saint passed away in 1690 and was canonized in 1971. It's like it took like 300 years to get this processed, and he said, well,
Yeah.
some people are quicker than others, and he was
Yeah.
going through the process, and so obviously, it just tells us how unique um, Mother Cabrini was and is that she was canonized so quickly.
Right. I know it was very quick. Um, one of her miracles was that led to her canonization. There was a baby born in a hospital in I believe New York,
Hmm.
and the nurses put the wrong solution in his eyes, and so he was
Oh
blind.
no!
And so the sisters at the hospital prayed to Mother Cabrini. They held vigil overnight and prayed to her. And in the morning, they determined that his sight was back.
Oh
And
wow!
So that was, her one of the first miracles attributed to her sainthood. But that young baby became a priest.
Oh,
His
wow.
name was Father Peter Smith, and he was actually here in Colorado in my early years here. He was elderly then, but he had mass here at the shrine, and I mean, just what an incredible life he had, and
No
really
doubt.
devoted his life to Mother Cabrini. Yeah.
That is wonderful. Well, that's a great way to close our talk. JoAnn, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, we've helped myself and a lot of people understand that we have a very unique shrine, not 4 hours just west of us, right down I-70.
Well, we invite anybody from Western Kansas to
Mm.
come and visit, and please come in and say hi. Ask for me. I love to visit with people from home whenever they're here. And thank you for having me, and I wish you the best with all your fundraising this
Well,
week. I hope
thank you
it goes
so
really
much.
well.
Thank you. I'm going to close with the same prayer we opened with, just for the intercession of Mother Cabrini, and since we're all fundraisers and we need her help. So, again, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, O God, the Holy Spirit, comforter of the afflicted, fountain of light and truth, through the ardent zeal of your humble handmaid, St. Francis Xavier Cabrini, grant us your all-powerful aid in our necessities, sanctify our souls, and fill our minds with divine light, that we may see the holy will of God in all things that we do. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. JoAnn, thank you
Amen.
so much. Go home and heal your voice now. And I do. I look forward to, I hope that we have an opportunity to come out there, and I will definitely say hi, JoAnn, and say hey from Ellis County.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jim. Have
Yes, ma'am.
a great rest of your day.
You do the same. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Again, that was JoAnn Seaman. She is the director of the Mother Cabrini Shrine in Golden, Colorado. They just did a renovation out there, and it sounds like a very, very interesting place to be. So if you have the opportunity, I would go. It sounds like I'm going to go home and maybe make a planned trip with my wife. We're going to maybe head out there and spend a day or two. So again, you're listening to Divine Mercy Radio. We are having our fall Care-a-Thon, and we are looking to get to $125,000. Do I need to do that? So again, you're listening to Divine Mercy Radio. We are at 101.7 KJDM in Lindsborg and Salina, Kansas. We are at 105.7 KMDG in Hayes, Kansas, 88.1 KRTT in Great Bend, Kansas, 88.1 KVDM in Hayes, Kansas, and 89.1 in KGOH in Colby, Kansas. So again, we appreciate all of your donations. We appreciate all the people that have been on the call with us. We will be taking a 1 hour break here. You'll be getting the Chaplet of Divine Mercy and the Rosary. So if you want to stay on and listen for that, we are now sitting a little over almost $72,000 to date. So we're over halfway there. So we certainly appreciate your donations and all your support. And again, we want to thank our many sponsors that have helped us with this. Obviously, Jerome and Angela Schmeidler at The Messenger. And we have Diamond R Jewelry, who is giving a lady's white 14-karat fashion band ring. We have a Bose smart speaker donated by David and Janet Schmidt. We have a handmade ladder rosary donated and made by Dora Liker. We have a $100 gift certificate from Katz Hallmark donated by Kathy and John Shupman. A $100 gift certificate to Hickok Steakhouse donated by Oscar Runyon, the owner. We have a men and women's long-sleeved shirt from Divine Mercy Radio with an appropriate size and logo, and a Divine Mercy statue donated by Luann Brungart. So we are clear, and thank you so much.